seriously, let's hear some words about the Crucible. It's a venue that means a lot to a lot of people. And John Byrne has written a lovely email here, which I'm going to read out in its entirety, John. In fact, I'll just take a refreshing beverage before I do. Here we go. John writes, it's Saturday morning as I write this, and I've just returned from a first ever trip to the Crucible. As someone who's been watching and loving the sport for over 30 years, this was, to put it mildly, a bucket list trip. Or perhaps pilgrimage would be more an appropriate word. Starting in Limerick in Ireland, where I'm from, out to Shannon Airport, onward to Gatwick, then a night in Croydon, where my sister lives, and finally on to Sheffield itself. Excitement and anticipation building with every stage of the journey. Walking through the Winter Gardens, out onto Tudor Square and across the square to the Crucible itself was a genuinely emotional and can't quite believe I'm finally here moment. Not just for me, but for my travelling companion, namely the aforementioned sister, who was a fellow Jimmy White obsessive, suffered alongside me through all of the great man's agonising near misses. Entering the foyer of the venue for the first time was a curious experience because of that almost dreamlike sense of being somewhere new and somewhere that felt intimately familiar at the same time. A feeling only amplified when we stepped through the double doors into the main arena itself. For quite a while we didn't say much, just tried to soak it all in. Right down there I had to remind myself in that very spot is where Dennis Taylor sunk the final black in 85. And over there was where Jimmy missed that black in 94. And there too was where Cliff sank to his knees in 83 after that magical maximum. The memories just kept coming. So long before we'd seen a player introduced or a single ball potted. We both felt exhilarated and overwhelmed in the best possible sense of that word. We got to enjoy 5 sessions in all, the conclusion of Tom Ford v Ricky Walden with the added bonus of Carter v Maguire once the divide went up, the gripping final session of Selby v O'Connor, the rather less gripping first session of Milkins v Pang Jung-Zhu, the superb first 9 frames of Lazowski v Ding, and the thrilling and nerve-shredding finale of Si Jiawei v Mark Williams. But back to the venue itself, and something you yourself said on Eurosport as the drama of Jack Jones and Si Jiawei played itself out on Friday evening. This room, you said, this Crucible Theatre. And somehow these words succinctly summed up my own feelings and experiences of being there. It may seem an obvious point to make, but until you're there, in your seat, you don't fully appreciate the theatricality of that space. And ultimately, that's what separates and distinguishes it from any sporting venue I've ever visited. You're watching sport, of course, elite-level sport at that, but the crucial difference is that you're watching it in a theatre, a place and space specifically designed for drama, tragedy, humour, pathos, farce, and everything in between. So it's not just that the Crucible is a great venue for this great sport because of its size and intimacy. It's a great venue for the sport because it's not really a sporting venue at all. And it's only by visiting it and absorbing it and being captivated by it that I fully appreciated that. The Crucible as a theatre was a space purpose-built to amplify tension, drama and emotion. The fact that it became the perfect venue for snooker, a sport that's completely infused with tension, drama and emotion, is really just a beautiful and happy accident. I know it looks like its days are last numbered as the venue for this great championship, but snooker fans who have been lucky enough to visit it, even just once, will no doubt always remember it for what it is. Snooker's theatre of dreams. A place that's elevated and amplified the game into the realms of high drama. Apologies for the length of the email. Thanks again for this superb podcast. Long may it continue. Well, John, no apologies required at all. I thought that was just a lovely email that perfectly sums up what the venue means to people. And, it's actually quite emotional reading that, to be honest with you. I'm glad you enjoyed your trip. And you're quite right. There is something about the space that amplifies everything that's already good about snooker. The mistake people make, well, it's not a mistake, it's a money thing. They think, more seats, more drama. Actually, the opposite's true. The more intimate a space, the more of a sort of collective experience for the audience. The fact that basically wherever you are in that theatre, you can see what's happening, which is not true of a lot of venues. John, that's a brilliant email. Thank you for kicking us off this week. As you can imagine, we've had a lot of